All right. Well, to the Acsenda School of Management Pre-Arrival Webinar. This is one of a series of webinars that Acsenda School of Management is providing to our prospective students. That will be this group in particular arriving in April. I wanted to welcome you all to Acsenda and congratulate you on your acceptance to the school. We're really looking forward to seeing you in April. And my name is Neil Mort. I'm the Vice President of Enrollment and Student Services and the Registrar. And I'm joined here today with Tom Chan, who's our Manager of Student Services, and our Colby McLeod, who is our Coordinator for Admissions, and Enrique Guia, who is our Coordinator for Enrollment Services. And once again, I'm very pleased to welcome everyone. Just to go over what we're going to be covering today. We wanted to tell a little bit about living in Vancouver. We're going to be talking about planning for coming to Canada. We're going to be going over a little bit about what to prepare for on your departure day. We'll talk a little bit about when you get here and on arrival, when you get off the plane at Vancouver Airport if you're coming by plane. Also some information about getting set up in Vancouver, and at the end we'll open it up to questions if anybody has any. So once again, welcome, and we're looking forward to seeing you in Vancouver, your new home. I'm really thrilled as a resident of Vancouver. I was born and raised here, and I'm very proud to welcome everybody to this beautiful city. Vancouver is the third largest city in Canada. It's located on the west coast of the country, just north of the American border. It is ranked as one of the top cities to live in, known for being very safe, a very multicultural city, and also very clean. It's very close to the natural environment. You can be into the wilderness within about 15 to 20-minute drive from the city. It's wonderful for places to go hiking in the summer. You can ski in the mountains in the winter, as well as enjoy the ocean during the daytime. So there's a lot of things to do in the outdoors here, and some great places to visit and see. In addition to the outdoors, there's also a wide range of professional sports here. You can go to a hockey game, which is Canada's national sport. We have a professional soccer team, or football, as it's known in many countries. And we also have an American-style football team here in Canada as well, in Vancouver. So there's never a shortage of things to do in the city, and I know you're going to really enjoy living here. Just to talk a little bit about the Acsenda campus, we are a business school, and as such, we have chosen to be located in the downtown core of the city in the business district. Here at our campus, we have there's very easy access to SkyTrain, which is one of the main transportation systems, as well as bus and other forms of public transportation. We're also very close to restaurants, to shopping, and the entertainment areas of the city. With regards to the climate in Vancouver, we have 4 seasons here, and right now we're in the midst of our winter season. It's just finishing. I'd like to say it's finishing up, but it's still hanging on a bit. In the winter, we generally have temperatures that range between 0 and 7 degrees Celsius. We do get snow in the city, and it usually, as I say, lasts till about February, with snow coming on and off. Certainly in the mountains, there is a lot of snow right up until the end of April. So even though the city will be clear and we're into spring, you can still enjoy the mountains and the snow. Our spring season generally runs from March till about May. This is the season, of course, when all the flowers are coming out. The city is abundant with pink cherry blossoms, as you can see in the photo here. And our temperatures warm up a little bit to about 10 to 16 degrees Celsius. During the summer, the weather warms up a little bit. Now, people coming from much warmer climates are going to look at that and say that that's not very warm, but it is. We consider it quite warm here in Vancouver. In any case, we do get temperatures up into the 30s some days, and there's lots of opportunity to enjoy the public beaches and, again, enjoy the outdoors. Our fall season is time of season when we see a lot of the leaves changing color, and you'll see those beautiful red colors around amongst the forest in around the city. The fall season, or we call it autumn, generally runs from September through to November. Temperatures are going to range from anywhere around 8 to 18 degrees Celsius. Just to give you an idea of what type of weather, you will experience 4 different seasons, definite seasons here in Vancouver. And in addition to the temperature changes, also you'll notice a difference in the hours of daylight, where the days become quite a bit longer in the summer and much shorter in the winter. So that's a little bit about your new city and where you're going to be living. I want to now turn it over to my colleagues here who will be talking to you a little bit about planning for your trip to Canada.
Okay, good. Hello, everyone. My name's Colby. As introduced before, I'm the head of admissions here at Acsenda. So we're just going to spend the next couple of minutes just talking about the preparation that you'll need to do for Canada. Some of you have probably already started, at least in terms of the most important visa application, but we're going to talk about other things as well. Let's see if I can get to the next slide. How do I do this? Okay, so all-important study permit is what you need before you arrive. So all of you probably have a letter of acceptance, and all of you are probably some point through this visa or study permit application process. So we won't go too much into it, but just so you know that you will need your study permit before arriving into the country. So how to apply for a study permit if you have not, because I do recognize that some people are probably still about to submit because you come from lucky countries that only take about a week or 2 for the processing to occur before getting their approval. So just to make sure, the required documents that you need, a valid passport, very important. It needs to have at least a couple of years on it as far as I'm aware. Don't worry if your passport's going to expire before your program does, because once you have a permit and you're here, you can easily apply for not only your passport extension through your local embassy, but also for a study permit extension. Okay, the letter of acceptance you should already have from us. So if you've misplaced it, then please get in touch straight away so we can send it to you. You'll probably need to have proof of financial means for at least studying for the first 6 months or a year of being in Canada. Now that can come in the form of bank statements, and generally they will be looking at history. So you probably want at least the last 4 to 6 months. Other sorts of investments, also on the letter of acceptance, it will just say how much you have actually already invested into Acsenda based on your okay, you will have to provide some sort of background check or some criminal record check. You'll need to be talking to your federal police institutions about getting those. And there may be a point in the process that you might be asked for a medical exam, and they generally have doctors that they will assign you to as well. So if you have any questions, we really do, specifically I should say about immigration, it's really important that you contact CIC or Immigration Canada directly rather than us as the school, because they are the ones who are determining your eligibility and your approval, not us. So it's just a quicker process if you contact them. Okay, so if you haven't already, you need to be visiting the CIC or Immigration Canada website. We can provide you the link, but here's a little bit of a screen capture of which web page you should be going to. So to get a study permit, how to apply. I don't want to spend too much on this, but for those of you who haven't started the process and are looking for a little bit more information, at least to get started, I do encourage you to maybe hold some questions for the end of this webinar, and we'll be happy to address them then. So something you should be aware about, particularly as you have to prove your finances as part of your application, to be aware of, okay, so these are like some estimated living costs of Vancouver. Now, Vancouver, unfortunately, is a little bit of a pricey city to live in, particularly for Canada being one of the largest and most desirable cities in Canada. So we're giving approximations because it really does depend on your lifestyle choices about how low or how high this does. So we're going to give you a bit of a range. So for example, for rent, if you're looking at the low end, you can expect about $600 a month. Now, what we're really predicting is that you're going to be in some sort of share house arrangement where you're sharing rent, or I should say sharing a house and sharing the rent with a few other people. So you might even be sharing the same bedroom situation than that. It really also does depend on how close or how far you live in the city. Now, one advantage to Vancouver is that do have a bit of an extensive public transport line. So you can actually live relatively far in terms of kilometers away, but in terms of time to be traveled into the city, still relatively close. So you can actually live quite far out where the rent is a little bit cheaper and still be in the city within 20 to 30 minutes of a train ride. Okay, on the flip side of that, you might be spending about $1,600 per month, particularly if you are going to be renting alone, or perhaps you are staying in a homestay where they're also covering additional costs such as your utilities and or maybe your food as well. Food as well, obviously, is going to range $300 to $500 per month. It really just depends on how luxurious you want to be in your dietary needs. That's sort of kind of including if you're going to go out, obviously, and eat dinner out, it's obviously going to be at the higher end. If you stick into buying your groceries and cooking at home, that's going to be the lower end of about $300. Okay, so transportation, that's going to roughly range about to $93 to $172 a month. Once again, this is going to factor on two things: how frequently you need to use it every day, and also how far you need to travel. So people where Vancouver transport system is zoned, so one of the advantages of living farther out is you're going to get cheaper rents, but on the flip side, you're going to have to pay a couple of bucks more a day to use the transportation service, just to cover the costs of doing the extra distance. Medical insurance. Okay, so British Columbia has its own socialized health insurance plan. It's called MSP, or Medical Services Plan. Once you've been a resident, or that means living here for 3 months, you're technically qualified to receive MSP. It costs now $37.50. You guys are coming at a very lucky time. It's literally only in the last 2 to 3 months been halved in price. So it used to be about $75, but now you're looking at $37.50 per month. For that, best thing about that, it pretty much covers everything but prescriptions. So if you're sick and you need to go see a doctor to find out what's going on, you pretty much just walk into the clinic, you hand them the card, and then you walk out without paying a thing. It's brilliant. Okay, and then phone/internet. We're really talking about internet on your phone plans, so your data. So you can get plans as cheap as $40, but you're really going to be looking at talk and text plans there. And then anywhere up to $80 depending on how much data that you want to add to your phone plan. Okay, school costs. So your study permit requires you to be full-time. What that means at Acsenda is studying a minimum of 3 courses per month. Now, our courses are all the same price. They're $1,499. So with 3 courses, you're looking just under $4,500 for the tuition. And then when you factor in a few administration costs, and then it roughly comes up to about $5,000, give or take a couple of hundred. Really just depends a little bit on your situation. Every term, that you register, you will be provided with an invoice that is itemized with details, so you know exactly where your money's being spent. And then on top of it, you need to plan for about $400 to $500 in textbooks each term. Now, we're being a little bit on the upper end of that because this is worst case scenario that you have to buy your books new. Now, a lot of students, what they do is they sell their books secondhand once they're done with the course. So there are ways of making that cheaper. And a lot of our textbooks are also available as ebooks as well, and that also reduces the price as well. And then just a budget. I don't know how much, $20 to $50 per term probably for school supplies in terms of your notepads, pens, filing systems, and all that sort of stuff. You don't have to worry about your first term because it's pretty much been covered in your deposit. So once again, that is stipulated on your letter of acceptance. Your next payment won't be happening until you register for, well, if you arrive in April, it would be your July term. So you halfway through the April term, or intake, I should say, you'll be invited to register for the next term. You then choose your courses and you'll be provided an invoice for that term with a due date just before July. I should mention too, just be wary, you might need to have a few extra $100 on hand when you first arrive, just because you may have paid a little bit less in your deposit than what the first term fee is going to be. So just be aware of that. Okay, so one of the most important things you need is a place to stay when you arrive. So we do have a few housing options that we can give you details for, and you need to make the decisions about whether you want to go ahead in these ways or not. First thing is temporary housing, somewhere to stay just within the first few days or the first few weeks. So there are some homestay options. There's also the YC8 hotel that's quite close. It's in the downtown area. And then we've also got Hostelling International. Links are provided there. And then, of course, you'll need permanent housing. Okay, so we do have a link on our website that's just there, so that can help you out. But just take note as well now, if you want to jot that down. Okay, if you're looking to share a place, which, like I said, that's usually a cheaper option for you, we've got a link there to help you as well in terms of finding roommates and people that are already set up in those situations. There's GEC Student Residence, and we've got Bed for Students, which are two other companies that we would recommend as well that you take a look at. Okay, pre-departure, what to bring. Okay, so as you're packing, rather than just packing your general clothes and everything else that you would do when you're going traveling, there's a few documents and things that you would need to bring, not just for entering the border, but also for coming to Acsenda and starting school. So registration documents, what we would require when you come to orientation is your letter of acceptance from us, or at least a copy of it. We need your passport, the original, to be brought. We need your original or certified transcripts, which is probably a condition that you've seen on your letter of acceptance. If it's not there, it means you've already supplied it, so well done. And then other documents as well. So I would recommend that you look at your letter of acceptance, because it will say make perhaps one or two conditions or documents that are required for you to bring as part of your actual enrollment. Other documents that may help, not necessarily with us, but particularly with the border, a driver's license, marriage certificate, particularly if you're bringing family, and children birth certificates, once again, if you're bringing children with you that are attached to your study permit. Other things to bring, okay, so suitable clothes. So really take note of the weather of the time of year that you're coming here and pack appropriately. Obviously, you're kind of limited to what you can bring, so I really recommend that you bring clothes that are appropriate to the season that you're arriving in, and then you hopefully get a few more things as you're here, or communicate with your families back home to start shipping things over once you've got a permanent place to stay. Make sure you bring your medication, and if you are on medication, please make sure you keep it in the actual prescriptions that were provided with your name, otherwise they won't get through the border. Personal items, of course, electrical items. Please note too, we might be using a different power outlet to what you're used to at home. Good places to buy them are always at the airport, and there's just some general electric and stationary stores here that you can buy the, I don't know what you would call them, the adapters, that's it, to make sure that your electric items still work in the Canadian system. Okay, school supplies if you want to bring them, otherwise I would recommend that you buy them here. We do actually have a very popular and cheap stationery store just located around the corner that we can set you up with, or at least give you the directions to. And laptop, if you have it already, it is required that you should have a laptop while you're studying. So if you already have one at home, we really recommend that you bring it with you. Okay, and this is just to help you too. So, I mean, most of you are probably going to be arriving here in April, so you can get an understanding of how hot or cold it might be. But if you're planning to defer your intake, then you start looking at the July, August temperatures and start packing appropriately for those as well. Unless you're from a winter environment, I will say this as a fellow person from a summer environment, the winter clothing is so much better and cheaper here that if you are arriving in the warmer months, I really recommend that you leave your winter gear at home and you buy some good quality stuff once you've arrived here. Okay, so I am done, but I'll be here for the questions if you have any, particularly regarding either immigration or your own individual admissions. But for now, I'm just going to pass it off to Enrique.
Thank you, Kobe. So, hello everyone. As Kobe said, I'm Enrique. I'm head of the enrollment services. So let's talk a little bit about the departure day. So Kobe already talked about the passport, but keep tracking all the documents that you should have on your hands on your departure day, as your airline ticket, the letter from CIC, also the letter from Acsenda. And it's really important to have your contact numbers, emergency numbers. It's also good to have those in your hands. And if you have any medical or immunization records, yeah, keep those. And also the travel and medical insurance. And it's also good to show them some proof of your finances. Sometimes they ask if you have the money for the school and also to live here in Vancouver. So keep some proof of those as well. So on the airplane, while you're on the airplane, you receive a card. It calls the Customs Declaration Card. It's similar to this one that you can see in the picture on the right side. It's a three-fold pamphlet. It's in English and also in French. So you can flip over both sides if you prefer French. But if you're coming to Vancouver, probably you prefer English. Fill out with your information. And after you fill it out, you need to present this to the Canadian Customs and Immigration. So the officer probably will ask you about this declaration card. So what not to bring? Usually people think that they could bring all money that they could in cash, but usually you can bring only $10,000 in cash. But you can also come with your credit card, or you can transfer money from your home country to Canada. Don't bring excess medication. So usually 3 months is what they accept at the border. And yeah, also come with the prescriptions, as Kobe said. Alcohol and tobacco. So if it's for your personal use, especially the tobacco, don't bring too much. And alcohol, I think you can't bring any alcohol in the airplane. 1 liter. Oh, the limit is 1 liter per person. And yeah, and also the weapons. You can't have weapons with you in the airplane. Upon your arrival here at Vancouver Airport, there's a lot of signs, so please follow those signs, and they will lead you to the officer, to the border. And we have like 2 floors, so probably you have to use the escalator to go down to the lower floor, and you see the area with the booths for the custom clearance. They probably will ask you about the passport and all the letters that I mentioned before, and also that card that I showed you with that blue card, the declaration. At the immigration, probably they will ask you some questions about where you're from, what is the purpose in Canada, and which school are you attending, and where are you going to stay. So be prepared to answer those questions. They could also answer more questions about your family, about your background. And after you spoke with the officer, they will ask you to go to a different counter, and you will meet with an immigration officer, and they will ask you about your passport, your letter from Acsenda, and also your letter that allows you to get your study permit. To obtain your study permit will be based on your letter, and also the letter from Acsenda, and also the letter from the government, the Canadian government. And there's one important thing. Sometimes they made a mistake in your name spelling or in your birth date. So please double check that information. It's really important because you need that information in everywhere that you go here in Canada. Also, remember to pick up your luggage. I know that it's a lot of things in one day, and some people, they usually forget about that. So after going to this, the immigration officer, go to pick up your luggage, and after that, you just give your custom declaration to another officer, and you're free to go. You can also follow the signs in the airport indicating the exit. And in that exit, you can take a taxi, or you can also use the BC TransLink, which connects our SkyTrain from the airport to all places around the city. There is a vending machine, a similar one as you can see in this picture on your right side. You can buy a ticket right there using your credit card or even money, cash. You can go to those trip planner, this link, you can refer to the link to plan your trip from the airport to your place, the place that you stay. There is also a limousine pickup service that you can book an appointment with them. They can pick up you at the airport and leave you on the place that you stay. At the bottom, you can see two types of cards. One is the orange, and the other one is the blue. Usually, we have the blue card. It calls the Compass card, and you can also buy one of this in this vending machine, and you can use this for the SkyTrain or even for the bus. So probably you need one of those cards. Okay, talking about the registration and orientation. It takes place over 2 days here at Acsenda. So we enroll you into the courses. We show you the class schedule, so you can see the days that you need to come to school and the time, and also the topics that you be learning in the next term. We'll do a campus tour and also a city tour. So we have a lot of interesting places around Acsenda, and we will provide you some information about those places, and also some restaurants, and also some tourism places that you could go. We also have some guest speakers to talk with you about health insurance or the city itself. Some students will talk about their experience here, and you can interact with all the other students, senior students, and also new students, make new friends. It's also a great opportunity to do that. We also provide food, and we will do some games, activities. It's a great day. It's a happy day for us here. So in those registration and orientation days, please bring your passport, your study permit, and also your official transcripts. And if you have other letters, please keep all of those with you. Okay. Getting set up. Now we talk about something really important, which is the health insurance. Colby already told you about the MSP program here in BC. While you're waiting for that one to be eligible to have your MSP card, we have a bridging medical insurance called GuardMe. The cost of it is $2.25 per day, and it covers you for those 3 months until you wait for your MSP. So if you'd like to purchase that insurance from the day that you arrive here in Canada, please let us know. You can email me. I can help you with that information. Working in Canada. As a previous student, this is an important topic for me. I think it's also for you. And as an international student with a valid study permit, we can have we need to study full time, but we can also study part time, which means maximum 20 hours per week during your regular academic year. You can also apply to take the term break, which means after 2 terms, you can apply to take a term break. And during this time, you may work full time only during this break, not more than those 3 months break. After you complete your degree program, the students, they're eligible to apply for the post-graduation work permit. And it allows all the graduate students to work up to 3 years here in Canada. Let's talk about your social insurance number. It calls SIN number here in Canada, and you need this number to work in Canada or receive some benefits from the government. So will be one of the first documents that probably you need to get here. And there is a Sinclair Center near to Acsenda, which we will show you during the orientation day. And to apply for that insurance, you must provide a valid permit document. Could be your passport and also your study permit. The address of the Sinclair Center you can see at the bottom of the slide. Okay. Talking about cell phones, we have a lot of companies that provide this service here in Vancouver. We listed the 4 biggest ones here that you can call or also go through their website and take a look at the price. It's just a reference for you guys to plan yourself, to see the plans they're providing, to see how many data you think you need to use, so you can refer to those websites to plan yourself. We also have some banks. This is the list that we have here. You can go to their websites, take a look at each bank. Usually they offer a special account for students where you don't need to pay for any fee, monthly fee. Probably you need to provide your study permit or a letter from school saying that you're a current student to get those benefits. Another important thing is how to transfer money from your home country to Canada. So we have those 4 ways to transfer your money. The first one is Western Union. I think it's the most common way to transfer money. And also we have TransferWise. It's not by the cheapest fees, but it depends on the day and also on the numbers of transactions they're doing in a day. You can also use your credit card, but be careful with the fees that the credit card company will charge you, and also the traveler checks. There's another way to especially pay our tuition. It's not on this slide, but it's a great way to pay from your home country or your tuitions. It calls Flywire, and you can just type your information as a student, and you can pay directly from your bank, and it comes through our account here in Canada. So it's also a great way an easy way to pay your tuition. Here are some informations about the school. Our emergency contact. You have probably our phone already. It's 1-604-430-5111, and there is a message at the beginning. You can also press 0 to skip that message. You can also contact us through email, which is info@acsenda.com. And our address, we're at the 9th floor at 1090 West Pender Street in Vancouver downtown. So thank you very much for listening to me. Now Neil will take over.
Well, thanks everyone for that great information. We're going to open it up for questions if anybody has any. There is on your screen. There is a place that you can present a question and just type it in, and we can respond to it. So please go ahead. I know one of the questions might be, will this presentation be available to you? Yes, we can send a copy of the presentation. We can email a copy of the presentation to the attendees today, and it will be also posted on our website. So I'll open it up if anybody has any questions. I'll also just, if anybody wants to ask verbally, I'm just going to open up the microphone, and you can unmute your mic here if you would like to, and you'll be able to ask any questions directly if you prefer to ask them in voice. I'm opening up people's microphones now, so feel free to go ahead and just ask.
Okay, Neil, I have a question. So if we're planning on driving over there, like does the
maybe I can ask a question to everybody here. How did you find the seminar? Was this information helpful to you?
Yes.
Yes. Sorry, can you please repeat? Yeah, how did you? Was this information helpful for you?
Yes.
Okay, great. Does anybody have any questions about Acsenda or about your arrival here?
Yeah, I have a question, Neil. So, if we're planning on driving over there, does the immigration at the border, do they supply us? Do they give us the study permit over there?
Yeah. Are you what is your nationality?
Oh, I mean, I'm Filipino, but I'm living in Virginia.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. You shouldn't have any difficulty when you drive through the border. You should have a letter from Immigration Canada to present to the customs officials with your passport and a letter from the school, and then they would be able to process the paperwork there. But have you applied for a study permit already from the States?
No, not yet.
Okay, so yeah, I think as a if you're an American, if you have an American passport, you can just get the study permit at the border. However, if you're arriving on a Filipino passport, you'll probably need to arrange the visa or the study permit before you come. So you need to go to the Immigration Canada website to submit your application.
Okay. It's well. My other question. Well. Okay. That's all I have for now.
Okay. If you have any specific questions to your case, feel free to email Colby, who you've had correspondence with, and he'll be able to follow up with detailed information specific to your case.
Okay.
Great. Hi, are there any other questions from anyone?
I think we're all good.
Great, okay, good. I know it's a lot of information, well, especially for those of you. Thank you for those of you that are in different time zones right now. I know some people may be up in the middle of the night and or early morning, and we do appreciate you connecting in with us. We hope that this information has been helpful. If you think of something afterwards, please don't hesitate to give us an email or contact us, via telephone as well. That's possible. You can do that too. We want to thank everybody for joining us, and we're really looking forward to seeing you in just a few weeks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, all the best. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.